So we'll go on to it. So suddenly all computing is parallel. I mean, this is why Intel is here and I am here. So let's just a little bit of a context. You've heard the story many times. I'll do this quickly. You know, why did this happen? And why do we care? And what has happened in SIGC in the 2 years since I became aware of this audience and what happened. So this is a slide we see a lot, at least for in the computer industry. There's a little inflection point over there. I actually presented this slide myself in a sponsored vendor talk in 2008. And what it is, this is the single chip performance. And this is where Moore's Law, while it continues, Moore's Law, recall, is the doubling of transistors, roughly, in a fixed time period. And until recently, that always corresponded to performance, more or less automatically. We're still doubling the transistor count, and that will continue for quite some time. But it's no longer going quickly into performance. And that's that sort of bend-over point in the graph in the upper right there. So, is this at a plateau? And if it is, what might be the consequences of that? And I can look at another technology that was once very glamorous in the early part of the 20th century. It just zoomed ahead. Terrific technical advances every year from the Wrights until the mid-50s. And I got these two just yesterday off of sites which are selling these two aircraft. The one in the upper left first flew in 1956. And the next one flew in 2009. There's not a lot of difference visible in these. Actually, they moved the landing light out to the wing. That was nice. Now, in fact, there are many, many refinements in the new one. And, this is not to diss Cessna, but what happened basically, the technology hit a plateau. The flight characteristics of these two aircraft are essentially the same. Would that be a problem for us if this happened in computing? Well, it turned out I dug into the lunchtime keynote from 2 years ago that Ed Lazowska, he actually had the same slide. And he took the optimistic point of view at the time, as he's captioned it, is that turnover is going to change your life. He was addressing this room, I guess, in ways you probably won't like. But the architects, the chip, and actually the software architects are going to have a lot of fun with this. His other comment given there. So what is this architecture we're talking about? What do we have now, and where are things likely to be headed? So now, the multi-core CPUs, if you go out to the shop, you can buy, or you're about to be able to buy something with up to 8 cores. And of course, the graphics processing units have a wide range of different kinds of cores, but they do call them cores. And in numbers about this type, 512 or so. The threading models are some carryovers, some new. But the key word here is threading. There's a particular approach to developing software for the beasts we have now. Where this is headed is a personal prediction. I'm not giving you any trade secrets here. But it does appear the direction is to a lot more cores than we have now, and not all the same. So we have a heterogeneous many-core. I'm going to call many anything with 32 and up. And this is really a different beast. The challenges are greater. On a 4-way system, it's not that challenging to realize a benefit. Even on a specific application, you can get a 2.5 speed up. It's enough to notice. If it's 2.5 out of 4, though, it's going to be still about 2.5 out of 32. So there are much deeper challenges to moving to large numbers of cores, and when they're no longer homogeneous. So what is SIGC? What's been the SIGC response to this shift in the industry? This is, I sometimes say, the practical joke being perpetrated upon everyone by the chip makers. At SIGC 2008, I went through the program, and I combed through and noticed there was one workshop that I would call a general parallel approach. That was Ariel's Erlong workshop. And then there was a track actually on grid and cluster computing, so there were 4 papers and a panel on that. In contrast, this year, we see much broader action here. Not only a workshop and papers, there was a BOF, even a poster. 9 general sessions, let's say, addressing parallel. Still a cluster grid came along. So it seems to be getting traction among you, and that from industry point of view is terrific. And I will add, there's one more in this sort of the companion conference to this. There is a working group addressing this. Dick Brown and Libby Shoup are driving that, and I would encourage you to contact them and get involved with this, because they're addressing the very same things I'm going to address a little bit today. What to teach, how to get it taught, and how to make sure we can share that material. Dick and Libby, thanks for the effort. And we'll be tracking that carefully. So the other thing I said was seizing opportunity amidst the clamor. So what opportunities and for who, really? So I'm going to look at 4 types of opportunities, and one may surprise some of you. Is I put up here sort of a bubble chart with data as of yesterday of membership in a program we run at Intel called the Intel Academic Community. But what it is really is our trying to help the academic community adjust to the change that we have perpetrated. And so really when people sign up for this, they're signing up for parallel computing assistance. So it's a sort of indicator of interest and commitment to adjusting the courseware. And you'll notice that the 3 large bubbles, besides the US, we have India and China. The other interesting thing about this slide is that 85% of the participants here are not in the USA, the universities outside the USA. So it does suggest that the opportunity being seized here is by universities trying to get ahead of the game. And I have I'll give you 2 examples from each of the other 2 large bubbles. This is the clip of Vesvashaya, VTU. And the India system, at least as I understand it, works with sort of central key, top of the pyramid universities that decide what ought to be taught, and then they promulgate it to sort of a next layer out quite formally. And VTU, I'm told, does that to about 150 other schools. They've just committed, the fine print here, which you can't read, is the actual schedule. They started 2 years ago to revise their curriculum. They've ended up with all 8 semesters, the 4-year program, have been changed in some way to comprehend the shift. So it's not just a course in parallel computing. In China, I clipped this from the digital library. No copyright, I hope, but fair use, ACM folks. This is from a conference actually sponsored by ACM, again 2 years ago. The authors here are from Zhejiang University, a pretty good but middle-level school. They presented, but they managed to propose a curriculum and get it adopted, as I've blown up on the bottom, as a model curriculum. And what that means is it's the model for all the universities in China. So it's nice when you have a Ministry of Education that's it's sort of like the ACM and ABEC combined with enforcement capability. And it tends to happen quickly. Once it's rolled out, this is what you will teach, that's what happens next year. So in China, this has already happened at an official level.